So, Al wasn't home? Okay. I think he's up in the woods, dragging down logs. We'll have to go find him. What's up, adventure agents? Agent Tex here. All right, agents. Well, I have made a big mistake. And so, I'll explain in a little bit. But I really messed up big time. And we need to go find Al. What? I will. I'll film you going. Let's go. It looks like you've been busy.
Good timing.
Hey, neighbor.
Hi.
Good to see you. Right when you're finished.
Well,
you know, we're always.
I'm gonna cut this up and take it home.
Oh, okay. Hey, that's
and ready to burn.
That is, man. Look at that thing. Is so long.
I know.
I've never seen one this long like this that isn't broken in pieces. That's pretty incredible.
I know. It was laying behind some trees on this side of the thing, and I thought, well, maybe it was about this long. I hooked a chain on that end and looked in the mirror, and it just kept coming and coming. All right, that'll keep me warm for a week or two.
Yeah. Well, hey, I owe you some stove wood.
You do?
Because we definitely burned some of your stove wood that you set up.
Yeah, there's not much around.
I know. Well, but you know, rare. I'm talking about the stuff that you leaned up against the trees that you spent time, you know, I burned some of that. So we're going to have to get you some stove wood to replace that. Well, hey, I was wondering if you had a chance to talk about something in a little bit down by the suspended shelter we built by the spring.
Yeah.
You do? Okay. All right. Thank you.
Cut this up and then I'll be down there.
Okay, all right, well, we'll just hang out down there. I'm gonna start taking that thing apart, and we'll just, whenever you have time, whenever you pass by, we'll see you.
Yeah, I got a log ready to haul down on the way. I gotta stop.
Yeah, I saw that one. Yeah. All right, well, we'll go down there and start taking the fort apart. Okay.
Hold the top under it. Where? Now hold the top under the thing.
Cleaned out.
Okay.
Drink water.
All right, agents. So, on our last episode, I did the whole test with this Adventure Agents water bottle, and it went very well at first. But to give you a little bit of background before I get into what exactly the problem is, whenever I asked Al if we could come up and do this special episode on these two suspended beams right here, directly above his spring that actually feeds his pond and his house with water, he let me know that if we were going to use a chainsaw, which I didn't intend to use, but I might have ended up using it a little bit, that he wanted us to use a certain kind of oil in the chainsaw that's biodegradable, that's not the petrol oil that people typically use in chainsaws, because it's near his spring here, and he didn't want it to get in his spring and end up in his water supply. And also it's toxic for the animals as well, the creatures that live in the spring and the pond. And so I agreed to that, and then kind of forgot about it actually, because we were running into a bit of a crunch and Agent Strongman was going down to get some things. And I said, you know, go ahead and grab that chainsaw just in case, our electric chainsaw. So he grabbed it and brought it up here. And then Al reminded me, hey, I got some soy oil for that chainsaw. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Okay, well, if we end up using it, you know, but I was like, well, it's gonna take a while to cycle through the oil. Let's go ahead and just use your chainsaw if we have to. And it turned out, it seemed like that wasn't gonna be necessary. So anyways, so the idea is that we need to be very careful about what we do around this spring because we don't want anything toxic ending up in the water. Well, whenever we boiled this, the paint came off of this container right here, this Adventure Agents water bottle, the powder coating. And I remember thinking after we got through with that, okay, I want to go rinse off the dishes because we had oatmeal, right? You remember that? Mm-hmm. And I remember thinking, oh, should I rinse the oatmeal off of those bowls? And I was like, oatmeal, that's okay to rinse off in the spring. I think that would be okay with Al. And so I rinsed the oatmeal bowls off. Well, while I was at it, I brought this water bottle down to kind of rinse it out. And I rinsed it out in the spring. Rinsed this out, this water bottle that had toxic paint. I just rinsed it off, the inside and the outside. And as soon as I finished, it hit me what I had just done. What a stupid, stupid thing to do. And I was like, oh gosh, what did I just do? And anyway, so later on, I went down and talked to Al about it, and you know, obviously it was not okay to do that, but he forgave me for making that mistake, and he said, no more camping by the spring, and I said, I totally understand that, totally get that.
How do you know the paint on there was toxic?
Well, okay, so I looked it up, and evidently powder coating does not have VOCs, which is volatile organic compounds. It's actually a much safer paint than typical paints. Did you look it up too?
No.
Oh, okay,
I just
yeah.
figured if it was something you drink out of,
right.
I wouldn't think they'd put toxic paint on it.
That's true, yeah. And so, anyway, so this is actually, if there was any paint that we would want to end up in that stream, it would be this or some kind of like, you know, acrylics. But still, this stuff in its concentration is not something that's good to be dumped into nature, especially something that it's as pristine as this. You know, frogs absorb things in their skin, newts, and also our neighbor Al drinks out of this. So we don't want him getting, I mean, as much as this is, you know, quote unquote non-toxic, you still don't want to drink it, you know? And so anyways, big mistake on my end. And I really feel bad because you trusted us with being up here and I just was not careful enough. Well, agents, that's not the end of it. There's something else. And this actually came about because of Agent Axe. And Agent Axe the other day, a couple days ago, after we camped here, he was having an issue with Agent Hummingbird. She had a string that was actually technically his, I think, and she wouldn't give it back, and he took it from her, and I was kind of busy doing some things, and I couldn't pay close enough attention to see what was going on, but I got upset at Agent Axe because it felt to me like he was unnecessarily instigating some problems with Agent Hummingbird. And so, anyways, without bothering to read into it, I just told him, hey, you need to go away because you're causing problems here. And he threw the string at Agent Hummingbird, and he started to walk away. And I grabbed him and I said, what are you doing? You can't do that. And I told him to go into your room, not your room, but a room, and shut the door, and I would talk to him a little bit. Well, he went in there, and while he was going in there, Agent Hummingbird was actually in his way, and he just pushed her right over. Just pushed her on the ground and walked right past like she was an object that just needed to be moved while he went in there. And that really upset me. And I got so angry and upset, and I let him know that. Well, whenever these things happen, agents, I always like to really take a step back whenever I'm judging someone else, and you do need to assess other people's actions to determine whether or not they're good or bad, or whether or not you think they're good or bad is the best you could do. And I always like to think, what part do I have to play in this? And so I thought about that a lot that evening and that night. And I actually woke up in the middle of the night and I remembered something. I remembered something that I did that at the time I didn't really think was that big of a deal, and therefore forgot about it. But I realized and recognized about how something I did was actually basically, for someone my age, just like what Agent Axe did. And so what I did, agents, was while I was on this treehouse, I was using the Katana Boy to saw the logs here. It was getting really late. We were pressed for time, and Agent Strongman was helping me. He was just standing over here doing nothing. And I was like, he's not doing anything, and we need to do something. We needed 3 more logs, and he didn't have a saw to cut those logs with, and it was going to take me some time to cut all those off with the Katana Boy to shorten them. So I made a split-second decision, and I said, we have that chainsaw. I was like, okay, real quick, cut those last logs with the chainsaw. And in my mind, I was thinking, Al would understand. It would just make 3 cuts. It's up here. It's not in the spring or over the spring. So Al would understand. But really, agents, that was just an excuse. What I effectively did there was I pushed Al right over. I just bowled right over him. Like, my ideal of getting this done in time for that night was completely more important than Al's desire and his specific request not to use the chainsaw that had that bar and chain oil. And me telling myself, Al would understand. If he was right here and he's like, I just cut 3 logs. But agents, it doesn't even matter if he would understand. He specifically asked me not to. And so whether or not he would understand is irrelevant. He asked me not to. And so I effectively did just what Agent Axe did, and I just pushed him right over and said, I don't care what you want here. I want to finish this. And I am so sorry. I'm so sorry.
You're a bad, bad boy.
And I know, I wasn't sure how, I know this is important to you. And so, but this isn't a small thing to me, because I know personally how little actions can lead to bigger actions, lead to bigger. And if you don't pay attention to those little things you do, which this isn't so much a little thing, even for what it is, we're putting petroleum into the ground. It's going to rain this winter, and it's going to carry that petroleum down to the spring, and some of it's going to end up in his pond and in his water. And even that isn't as bad. Even the petroleum in his water, whatever little bit might get in there, isn't as bad as me just pushing him right over. And you trusted us to come up here, and that's not me, agents. That is not the Agent Tex that I want to be, and that is not the Agent Tex that I know. And what I did was, me and Agent Axe talked about this. What did they call it in the books you're reading? The spirit?
E something.
E something? Agent Axe is reading a book, and in that book, they talk about certain, what they call spirits, or what we typically call spirits, but they had a different word for it in the book. And I have a problem, and I've had this problem a lot in the past, where I get to working, and I become what some people call a workaholic, and I get the idea of what I want to accomplish and achieve, and it takes me over to where Agent Tex isn't really here anymore. What's here right now is almost what we would call a spirit of achievement, accomplishment, get this done, my ideal. We talked about with the cabin. I let that take me over that night, that evening, and I did something that hurt me. And so I not only went against his wishes, I went against my own wishes. I didn't want to do that, but I did it anyways, and I hurt myself. And those little decisions can impact other people around you. It even though it doesn't seem like it, also, I believe, played a part in Agent Axe doing what he did to Agent Hummingbird. Because I believe that these things are real. They're palpable. You might not see it, but it's real. You can't see the wind, but it's there. And who knows what else is there, right? So anyways, I just wanted to let you know, I woke up in the middle of the night and I remembered, oh my gosh, I can't believe I did that. I legitimately straight up just pushed you over. And it may not seem like that to you. I don't know what you're thinking right now, but it may not seem like that to you, but that is how I see it. I, just like Agent Axe pushed her over, I pushed you over. And I'm so sorry.
We all make mistakes. And I appreciate you telling me.
Thank you so much.
Most people wouldn't
for
tell.
understanding.
And if you hadn't told me, I never would have known. So
well,
I appreciate that.
You know, you might have known if I kept it in the video.
Well, yeah. Well,
Yeah, Agent Strongman in the background. He's like, hey, he's back there cutting it with, you know. I could have cut it out, I guess.
I would
but
assumed
I wouldn't have.
oil in the
Yeah,
kitchen
right.
or
Well,
something.
yeah, because you think the best of me, because that's who I represent myself as to you, because that's who I try to be. But we do all make mistakes, and you're right. And even though I try to represent myself to him, to you, to everyone else as someone who is respectable based on my actions, and even to myself, we all do make mistakes. And what's wonderful is having good friends that are there, even when you do make mistakes, and even when those mistakes personally impact them, to let you know that that's okay, and let's move forward. And it's what I feel coming for you right now, and I really appreciate that. And so
No problem.
I appreciate you trusting us to come up here and make this camping video over your spring, and I really appreciate you being understanding of me making 2 mistakes. And I really think the one with the chainsaw was a much worse mistake, even though the one with the water I think was a worse mistake, meaning I think it's more toxic. The heart mistake, the mental, the actual decision mistake that I made was very conscious. I wasn't conscious of what I was doing whenever I was washing out that. I just was like, you know, not being smart. But when I made that decision to cut that, I knew what I was doing. And I knew that I was doing something that Al might not approve of. In fact, he was likely to not approve of, because he said specifically, so even if it was only 3 little cuts, it's still something he would have said, you know what, I don't want to do that. And so I made that decision, to me, was much worse than the other decision. And so the hardest part right now, agents, for me, is loving myself, because I have a history of doing this in the past. When I was younger, much, much younger, I made some very bad decisions that hurt certain people close to me. And all that came flooding back. I haven't felt like this in years, making 2 big mistakes back to back like this. It hurts. And so whenever you make mistakes, it doesn't just hurt other people, it also hurts yourself. And so loving everyone around you includes loving yourself. And life is an adventure, love is a key.
I have it.
What?
Eildon.
Eildon.
Yeah.
Okay, Eildon. I allowed an Eildon to come over me of achievement, of idealism, of make this thing no matter what the cost. And I need to be a warrior and fight that and say, no, I am not going to do that. I'm going to fight that Eildon and destroy it and say, no, whatever the cost, I'm going to make Al the priority here, not what I want to build. So you were right. You said, it's 15 minutes now of me talking. I said, I just want to talk about this real quick. I'm like, I really want to, you know. Anyway, so.
I know what your quick is.
It doesn't. I really did intend to make it. I was thinking 5 minutes. But anyway, so thank you so much for listening to me here. And life's an adventure. Love is the key. I believe that, and I want to live that. I am not perfect, though, and nobody is. And I think that's part of being human, and I'm grateful that I'm not perfect, because it's almost like being perfect means you don't even exist. I feel pain, I feel suffering, I feel joy and happiness, and it's almost like the distinction between those 2 things really makes me exist. And so I'm grateful for I'm grateful for mistakes. I look back on my past mistakes and say, hey, I am grateful for that. I don't want to make them again, but I am grateful that I had the opportunity to make mistakes. I'll put it that way. Oh, and thank you for the fatwood. We're almost out of fatwood. Agent Axe needs to make more. So Al told us we could use some fatwood on his property, and we will not be using the chainsaw. In fact, I just bought some seed oil online for the bar and chain oil. So that I'm just gonna only use that oil from now on. I'm like, why would I use anything else? So anyways, I just bought some some biodegradable seed oil, bar and chain oil.
Huh.
So this is the fatwood that Agent Axe is gonna get right here. He's the one responsible for sourcing all of this and for doing all the work, but I'm just gonna cut a little piece because I want to show you how good this stuff is. Oh man, so good. Whew. This is definitely gonna make a lot of really good fires. All right, well, I'm gonna make Agent Axe. Well, I'm gonna make Agent Axe get the rest of this. It's gonna take him a while, but that's okay. It's good for him to work. Come smell this. Isn't that potent? Mm-hmm. All right, I did this a little bit to help you out, but you got to get the rest of it, okay? You got to figure out a way to get this down too. I don't know how you're gonna get this down there, but I'm gonna chunk it right there. So Agent Axe, I hope you understand that Daddy makes mistakes too, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I really did. I'm 35, I think, 36. I think I'll be 36 tomorrow, or 35 tomorrow. I'm not sure, I don't remember. Do you know how old I'll be?
35.
Really? That's it? Okay. I keep forgetting. But even at this age, I make mistakes, and my mistakes are to be scrutinized more because I'm much older and more responsible. Should be more responsible. And I really did just push Al's requests over, which is effectively pushing him over. So, anyways, you're not alone in your mistake making.
Wait, can you help ask Al? You can help us bring
Oh,
it down.
yeah. Well, when he comes by, just throw it in the back of his truck, okay? Mm-hmm. All right. Here, bring it up here, though, so you can be on the uphill side. All right, agents. Well, life's an adventure. Love is the key. And Agent Tex says that. But does he mean it? Well, I can only show that I mean it by living it. And by living it, you can show that you mean it. And that's the only true way. You can say things all you want, but if you don't act them out, well, it doesn't mean anything. Life's an adventure, love is a key, love's a who, love loves you, love loves me. And I believe it's my responsibility to share the love I've been given by love with you and with the rest of the world. And that starts with Agent Axe. It starts with my neighbor Al. And yeah, that's what I believe. Agent Tex out.
Agent X out.